up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bookmarked. I'm your hostess, Sherry's Joy. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you all for watching. We've got a good episode for you. This week, I read The Other Princess by Denny S. Bryce. This book is about 443 pages. It is a historical fiction based off of true people. It took me a few days to read it, and it is a wonderful book. I enjoyed this very much so. So what is this book about? Well, we start off in Africa in 1843, and we follow Ina, who at the time she is 5 years old, and her family, she has 7 siblings and a mother and a father. She's actually a princess, the princess of a warrior king of the tribe. And they are raided by the Amazon women, another African tribe who who help enslave people, or help capture and then enslave people. So they are raided by these women, and they actually decapitate her family. So all of her siblings, her mother, and then the father last, and Ina she's last. She actually survives. They capture her and bring her to this other area, and where it's an encampment where they hold captured Africans for the slave trade. Now, at this point, the slave trade is illegal between England and Africa, but it still happens. So the royalty comes from England, and this representative of the Queen comes, and he's a colonel, and he's, checking out the area and everything like that. And when he comes, they actually sacrifice these enslaved people. However, Ina is spared because she's got the scars on her cheek, 3 scars that mean that she is a princess. So the colonel was like, well, what's going on with her scars? Well, I forgot about her. She's a princess. We've had her for a few years. I forgot that she was here. I was actually saving her for a special sacrifice, but she's yours if you want her. Colonel was like, yes, I can take her. So he takes her to the ship, and she is connected with the cabin boy. His name is William. And she is then told that she is actually going to be Queen Victoria's assistant, or not assistant, but slave. Okay. And so, so she's brought over to England, and on the voyage, I think it was I can't remember, like a very long time, like 6 months to get there. William teaches her English. He teaches her writing. She reads, she falls in love with Jane Austen, and she learns a lot within that time frame. She learns the Bible and everything. So when she gets to England, she stays with this family who is, the father is a reverend. And so she continues her Bible studies, and they raise her, and they actually like her and they love her and everything. And they treat her very nicely. And the Queen gives the family money to support her and dresses her very nicely in these fine clothes. So she's actually brought up as a noble, but she's still Black. And so her life is then dedicated to being a missionary. So what she's actually being taught or being forced to do is learn English and translate the Bible into the African language, to help other Africans understand the English written Bible, the King James Bible. So that is the purpose of her role. And then, we follow the years as she gets older. And as she gets older, of course, she has a love interest who you can't really be together. He's white. Well, not obviously, but he is white. He's one of the boys who live in that housing. She does get sent to Sierra Leone for a while for her missionary work, and to actually go to a all girls missionary school where she really learns what she's supposed to be doing. She refuses to make friends with anybody. She actually goes there and she has this attitude like, I am the queen's goddaughter, because that's what they call her, the queen's goddaughter. I'm the queen's goddaughter. I am of, noble, and I don't want to make friends. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to do my work. I'm here to learn. I'm going home soon. So she just doesn't want to make friends. Why is that? Well, because everybody she gets close to is taken away from her. Like, she was really close with her brother, and he disappears. He actually ends up not being alive. She watched her whole family get slaughtered. She actually became friends with this girl, Monife, who went missing, as she was helping her while they were in Africa. There's this girl, Victoria, in Sierra Leone that Abigail, who she became friends with in Sierra Leone. And, she was a little bit older. So when her schooling was done, she went out of the school and she went off to do her missionary work. And William, the cabin boy that she befriended, that was helping her learn English and stuff, who was really, really nice to her, he died. And it's just, so everybody close to her has died. And so she has issues with being close to people, making friends. And the one person she does actually end up trusting is the Reverend's son. And they actually fall in love, but they cannot be together. The queen finds out that that they have this love interest. And so the queen actually, what is it called? Like, betroths her to this Captain Davies. And Captain Davies is a Black man. He's from Africa, and he is rich. He's got money. He's a captain of a ship, and he is the in-between. He's kind of like the liaison between Africa and England. And he has these boundaries and these, he helped build this village and this town. And the queen wants them to marry. Well, Ina doesn't want to marry. And, the queen is like, well, you're going to marry or I'm going to cast you out of England. Well, I'm not marrying because I don't love him. I love someone else, so I don't want to marry him. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to cast you out of England. And so she gets casted out of England and gets sent somewhere else. And she's there, and she's there for a while. Then she finally is like, okay, fine, I will marry Captain Davies, because she is threatened. Like, if you don't marry him, then we're going to make your life a living heck, as well as the boy that you love. So it's your best interest to marry Captain Davies. You will learn to love him and all this other stuff. So they actually do get married. They have children. They go through life together, and there is some love there. And, it's kind of the story without it being spoiled. I will say that some of it was like, I don't know, because the boy that she falls in love with, like, he's also doing missionary work. He's the Reverend's son, but they fall in love, and they're together, like, out in the open in London. And it's just like, it's still the 1800s. Like, I don't know. And he wants to marry her. And then he's like, well, we can escape and go to America. I was like, don't catch you slipping. Don't do that. He's like, there's places out west where we can get married and we can be together and no one will look at us. And I was like, somebody lied to you. Don't do that. So, there wasn't really anything that was cringeworthy, you're just kind of like, don't do that. Don't do this. There wasn't any, dialogue that was cringeworthy. The only real violence was at the beginning of the book, when we see, the slaughter of her family, and you really feel really horrible. And I could definitely see that. And I will say that I only know of these women warriors who helped with the slave trade through the movie The Woman King with Viola Davis. Now, I've never seen that movie, but I was told all about it. And I don't know, right? Like, of course it's history. It's African history. And I kind of want to know, but it's just like, how could they betray, right? But maybe they didn't have a choice. But also, that's not what this is about. But this is the only book and only story out of all the books that I have read. This is the only one where any people who have come to raid villages to help with the slave trade. This is the only one that mentions these women warriors. So, and it was portrayed very well. Like they are, you know, they're portrayed as being beautiful and you know, dressed beautifully and, you know, gold jewelry and everything and just like almost flawless. I am curious now. Like, I am very curious. So I don't know, maybe I will look into that. I probably should, you know, it's African history. I should do it. Um, but I like how everything was so vivid in this book, and there wasn't any like there wasn't any like hardcore violence or anything like that. There were so many heartfelt moments. There's this chapter where we lose William kind of at part one. It is separated in parts. We lose William due to like the storm that comes. They're like almost to England, to their destination. And he had just got done telling Ina that, you know, he's from like Southeast London, where it's like the slums basically. And he wanted to also meet Queen Victoria and, you know, talk to her about like, what can we do about London and about this end of London and everything like that. And this, he has this heartfelt moment with Ina. And then, you know, he introduces her to the boat's chef, who is also African. And then he's like, I got to help with the storm. And we never see him again. And that was very heartfelt, right? Because this is now the third person outside of her family that she has trusted and has lost. And then we find out that, you know, other people die. And it's just, there's a whole bunch of loss here. And it really is, it's sad. And I could feel that. And I could see the book around me. I was in the pages. It's a complete page turner. I read this book probably, I said a few days. I think it was like 3, actually I have it right here. I read this book in 4 days. So I highly recommend it. I rate this book a 5, and I rate this book a 5 because of the story itself, the plot. It's historical fiction. There is, at the end of the book, the writer does talk about the research that was done for the characters and for the main, you know, the actual real people. A lot of time was spent in the Library of Congress, and I appreciate that, and I completely respect that. And it's always so interesting, it's always so interesting to learn of true events and true characters. So I appreciate you for listening and taking the time to watch this video. Thank you all so much for your love and your support and your likes and your shares and your comments. I appreciate you. I am your hostess, Sherry's Joy. I am one half of the DigiKast. You can find me on all the socials listed below: Blue Sky, Instagram, and right here on YouTube at BookMarkedSJ. And you can find the DigiKast at all of the socials as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening and spreading love. Love the world. And so, car accident outside. Sorry. I know, it's always something.